Welcome to the SEC Unfiltered platform. I'm your host, Dave Shumate here from Mach Sports, bringing the Elite Eight preview in the West region. You got Clemson, Alabama. Tip-off will be about 7:49, 8:49 Eastern. Line open, -1.5 to open. I think it's up to 3.5 now. But how both teams got here, again, both teams have won 3 games so far in this tournament. Alabama coming off probably the game of the tournament tonight against North Carolina. Just the game of the tournament, back and forth. It was a real appeasing on the eyes if you were just an objective viewer. It was. But, hell, we're an SEC podcast. We were invested. It was back and forth. Man, fun, late night basketball, just back and forth. Nobody, I think the biggest lead in the game was 10. So I'm not going to do a recap on this game or previewing Clemson, but just trying to tell you how Alabama got there again, coming off wins against Charleston. Then you got Grand Canyon. Then you also had them coming off a win against Arizona, a big win for Clemson coming in to that game. But here, we forget here, these two teams have played early. They played earlier in the season. They both played, was the date, looking at it now, it was late November, I think November 28th, Clemson got the 85-77 win in Tuscaloosa in Coleman Coliseum. Alabama, I remember watching that game. They came out cold, real cold. I mean, for the game, they shot 34% from the field, 31% from three. Clemson, on the other hand, very efficient, 53% from the field and 52% from three. I remember Alabama was up 8 or 9 with about, I think, 9 or 10 minutes, maybe 8 or 9 minutes left in that game. P.J. Hall, the big forward for Clemson. Mute this. Sorry about that. Just looking at the box score here. Bama had a shot to put Clemson away in this game, but they subbed P.J. Hall in when he had, I think, 3 fouls, and then he just went and got, I think, on a 10-0 run, a 9-0 run by himself, and just ended up Clemson never looked back. They never looked back in that game. So, again, this was a long time ago. Again, November 28th. I mean, obviously before the new year. I think it was the week of the SEC championship game in football, if I remember right. But comes getting the 85-77 win. I mean, you're looking at the box score here a little bit. I mean, you had – who let him in point? Yeah, P.J. Hall with 21 points, 8 boards. But then you also had guys, Chase Hunter went for 15, 3 from 5 beyond the arc. Joe Girard, the Syracuse transfer, 4 from 7 beyond the arc. That's why they shot really well from 3, 52%. To be exact from that game, exactly that game. Should we expect the same for Clemson in this one coming up on Saturday night? I don't know, but some other guys to look out for Clemson. R.J. Godfrey does a phenomenal job. This is just one of those games. Both teams are familiar with each other, so it's going to be a short turnaround. But there's a little bit of adjustments. Both teams have had their highs and lows this year. I mean, both teams have had sometimes in the regular season, they kind of went on a funk here. I mean, I'm looking at Syracuse. Clemson. Clemson's had some bad losses in conference play. I mean, Virginia wasn't a great one. I know they made the tournament, but at Notre Dame, losing in the first round of the ACC tournament to Boston College, 76-55. But again, Clemson just an efficient team. I think where Clemson won't be surprised by Alabama's pace here because they've played it. And I think last night, North Carolina played into Alabama's hands. I said in the preview, I think Alabama's best shot is to get North Carolina to go up and down with them. And I know North Carolina likes to play with pace, but I thought Alabama's best shot was getting North Carolina to go up and down with them because Alabama is not going to change their style. So if North Carolina can, again, they shot unbelievable in the first half, 60% from 3 in the first half. They cooled off. Bama switched it off a little bit. They were giving some shots to Trimble, one of the guys who did not shoot well traditionally for North Carolina. And I didn't hate that game plan by Nate Oates, but they kind of ran. They got tired. North Carolina really only goes 7 deep. You could tell North Carolina was kind of getting a little tired at the end of the game. I thought if you really ask Hubert Davis, I bet he really wishes he would have slowed it down. So that's what I said in the preview. If I was North Carolina, I'd be like, hey guys, RJ, Carmack, I know we want to go up and down with these guys, but I know we can, but we have a big advantage on the front court, and especially when Pringle had the heel bruise. So it was a weird strategy. My point being, I don't know if Clemson gets sucked into that because they're an efficient offense. They'll try to slow the pace down. Key will be, can Alabama keep them? Will they let them buy? Will Clemson bite? Again, they've played Alabama this year. Let that be known. They beat them in Tuscaloosa. They're familiar. They've already scouted Alabama. Again, a long time ago, November 28th. But it still stands. They're not going to be totally shocked by the tempo Alabama plays with. Not saying Alabama isn't going to go win this game or run Clemson off the floor, not blowout means, but like get them back and forth, get PJ Hall tired, get him in foul trouble. I think that won't be shocking to Clemson because, again, they've seen it. Granted, 3-4 months ago, but they've seen it. I think the key in this game for Alabama, like it's going to be, is they're going to have to rebound. And again, I don't think Alabama's been a poor rebounding team this year. They've stepped up when they've had to. Again, some of the better better rebounding teams in the SEC this year, Mississippi State, Florida, teams like that, they've rebounded well and out-rebounded them. I know they went 1-2 against Florida, but rebounding-wise, they were fine. That'll be key in this game because Clemson likes to crash their boards, man. They like to, when they're their best, they're crashing the boards. That will be key. What was it? Let's look it up. What was the box score? What happened in that Alabama-Clemson game from a board standpoint? Who out-rebounded who? You had 41-41 in that first meeting. Again, Alabama, sometimes it feels like they give up big second chance. There's always one where they'll give up like 3 rebounds in one possession or 2 in one possession. The teams end up scoring. People remember that. But they haven't been a bad rebound team. Grant Nelson significantly improved from that standpoint. Obviously, fantastic game last night, an all-timer. But for this game, really, for Alabama, it'll be interesting to see how Coach Brad Brownwell, the head coach for Clemson, and I think they're going to try not to get caught up in that pace. I think they're hey, let's slow it down a little bit. Let's make them guard, maybe get some shots later in the shot clock. That's kind of what I think it'll be here. I think this is going to be another phenomenal game. Maybe not some massive audience, especially in person, because both these teams are from the Southeast. This will be a fun matchup. I know we've seen it before, but again, it'll be interesting. Alabama's probably going to have a chip on their shoulder. I mean, they're already going to be fired up. A chance to go play in the Final Four in Phoenix, programs first, but also a little bit of a revenge tour. A little bit of, hey, these guys ended our home winning streak back in November. We owe them one. You don't get a lot of opportunities at second chances in life, much less in this sport, in the NCAA tournament. Here's another team. Hey, if you aren't already motivated to go to the Final Four, which should be enough, this team knocked you off at home. They came into your building and beat you. You owe them. I think Alabama, obviously, you're still, especially if Latrell Wright's still out, and I expect him to be out, they're going to need the production still from guys like Rylan Griffin, Aaron Estrada, Grant Nelson. Maybe not to the extent he had last night or tonight, but just overall, they have to have some kind of production like that. Again, college basketball, the NCAA tournament's crazy. I think in a series, North Carolina would beat Alabama, but that's it. Again, it's the worst way to crown a national championship, but I wouldn't change it for the world. The NCAA tournament's awesome. Alabama's just really, really playing well right now. They're hot. They got an edge to them. Again, I said it on Twitter today. I think the best thing that happened to that team was losing that Friday night against Florida. It got them rested, reset the season. They've been focused on the defensive end since the tournament started against Charleston, Grand Canyon, and North Carolina. I know some of the box score watchers were, they gave it like 94 to Charleston. Dude, once they got up 30, they kind of checked out a little bit. Not saying that's right, but when Alabama was really dialed into that game before it got out of hand, they were defending well. So in this one, I mean, guys, we're not going to really just get into the weeds here and just totally. But I mean, we've seen this matchup, and both teams are totally different. Then I think if Bama could get PJ Hall a little in foul trouble, like they did in the first game, they had opportunity. They went on a little bit of a run with, I think, 13-3 run in that first game when he was on the bench. Once they put him in, he kind of had his way. But I think, granted, Nick Pringle not going to be 100% with that heel bruise. I think Alabama's bigs, their front court, Grant Nelson, have gotten better since then. They've gotten better. I don't know how much from a defensive standpoint. I mean, obviously in this tournament, it's been there. It's been there like it hadn't been all year. But you kind of like the edge Alabama's playing with. You do. And again, Clemson straight up beat Arizona yesterday. This was no fluke. The 77-72 win was no fluke. That was an efficient offensive game plan by Clemson. Kind of didn't play into Arizona's up-tempo hand. We're just comfortable, kind of controlled a lot of that game. But again, I think when it's all said and done, man, it's tough to go against this Alabama team. It's crazy. This is probably Nate Oates' second worst team he's had since he's been in Alabama after his first year. Probably third worst team. This team's better from top to bottom. They didn't check out like the 2021, 2022 team did. The team that Jaden Shackford, Keon Ellis. Not saying they dropped, but that's that team. Team that lost to Notre Dame in the first round that year as a 6th seed. So this is Oates' probably third worst team overall. I mean, it's crazy. The team last year loses in the Sweet 16 round. This team gets by it when they were missing Latrell Wrightsell, probably their second most important player. Nick Pringle re-aggravates the heel bruise he has. But I'm going to go Alabama 85-80, advancing to the Final Four. It's just at this point, guys, you can throw the stats away, much less from November 28th, really a month ago. Both these teams are locked in right now. I think it's going to be a really close game. The line opened up at 1.5, Alabama favored. It's up to 3.5. I think Alabama gets it done. I think they get it done. They're just playing that well. They play with that it factor, and sometimes it's what you need. It's what you need in the NCAA tournament. Add in the fact they're going to be looking for a little revenge. You don't always get that other external motivation. Final Four, like I said, should be enough to get you motivated. And then you have the fact that they came into your building and into your home winning streak as well. So here it is. Alabama, chance to go to their first Final Four in program history. What a phenomenal year already for Nate Oates and his team. This team, nobody. Overachieved, still playing with the house money. But I think they just got that it factor. You see a lot in these tournaments this late in the tournament as we get into the Elite Eight round, Sweet 16 Elite Eight round. But again, for SEC Unfiltered, I am your host, Dave Shumate from Mach 10 Sports. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We're SEC 24/7, 365. Obviously, the March Madness coverage. You have the Tennessee game tonight, Tennessee-Creighton. College baseball, we had 4 series last night. It's third weekend of conference play. Then spring football, obviously, we'll be rolling with that. But again, if you like this content, go like, subscribe. Get us on any podcast avenue, wherever you listen to your podcast. Go subscribe to us on YouTube. But, man, fired up for this Elite Eight matchup on Saturday night in Los Angeles in the West region. Alabama, Clemson, round 2, man. I think Bama's going to get it done.